Most people believe poverty is caused by low income. They assume that if they just earn more money, everything would fall into place. Bills would disappear, stress would fade, and savings would finally grow. It feels logical. Income is visible, measurable, and easy to blame. But science tells a very different story. Decades of research in behavioral economics and psychology show that long-term financial struggle is driven far more by decision patterns than by earnings alone. In fact, many people who earn good money remain financially stressed, while others with modest incomes quietly build wealth over time. This isn't luck. It isn't intelligence. It's behavior. Today, we're breaking down 10 financial mistakes that quietly keep people poor, even when they work hard, stay busy, and genuinely believe they're doing everything right. These aren't obvious mistakes like reckless gambling or quitting work. They're subtle psychological traps built into how the human brain processes reward, fear, and time. Let's start with the first. Mistake 1. Lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation happens when spending rises faster than income. Each raise, bonus, or new job upgrade is quickly absorbed by a better car, a bigger home, or more expensive habits. Behavioral science shows that this is driven by dopamine, the same chemical responsible for pleasure and motivation. When income increases, the brain rewards itself with consumption and mistakes that feeling for progress. The danger is that lifestyle inflation feels justified. People tell themselves they deserve the upgrade because they worked hard for it. But over time, expenses rise to match income, leaving no margin for savings or investing. Financial stress doesn't disappear, it simply scales upward. The result is a financial treadmill. No matter how much more someone earns, there's never extra money left over. Wealth isn't built by what you earn. It's built by what you keep and deploy intentionally. Mistake 2. Confusing income with wealth. A high salary feels safe. It feels impressive. It feels like success. But income is temporary. Wealth is what survives when income stops. Wealth is stored energy. It's assets that continue to generate value even when you're not actively working. Many high earners live paycheck to paycheck because they rely entirely on income and build nothing that produces future cash flow. The moment income pauses due to illness, layoffs, or burnout, financial anxiety returns immediately. Behavioral research shows that people overestimate the security of income because it arrives regularly and feels predictable. Wealth, by contrast, grows slowly and invisibly, which makes it easy to ignore. But long-term financial freedom doesn't come from earning more hours. It comes from building systems that work without you. Mistake 3. Avoiding financial discomfort. Budgeting, investing, and planning all trigger discomfort. They force people to confront uncertainty, mistakes, and trade-offs. Looking closely at finances can expose overspending, missed opportunities, or fear about the future. The brain naturally avoids this discomfort, even when avoidance leads to long-term harm. Psychologists call this present bias, the tendency to prioritize immediate emotional comfort over future benefit. People delay financial decisions not because they're lazy or irresponsible, but because their brains are wired to avoid pain. Unfortunately, avoiding short-term discomfort guarantees long-term financial stress. The temporary relief of not dealing with money problems eventually turns into chronic anxiety. Wealth is built by facing discomfort early, when the cost of change is still small. Mistake 4. Short-term dopamine spending. Impulse purchases feel good in the moment. Sales, limited time offers, and emotional buying hijack the brain's reward system. Modern marketing is engineered to exploit this weakness by creating urgency, scarcity, and emotional attachment. The brain responds to spending with a dopamine spike, followed by a crash. Over time, this creates a loop where people spend not to solve real problems, but to regulate emotions like stress, boredom, or insecurity. This pattern is especially dangerous because it disguises itself as self-care or reward. But financial progress requires delayed gratification, something the modern environment actively trains people to resist. Without awareness, spending becomes an emotional coping mechanism rather than a rational choice. Mistake 5. Believing debt is always bad. Many people are taught that all debt is dangerous. They grow up believing that borrowing money is a moral failure or a guaranteed path to trouble. But the wealthy don't avoid debt. They use it strategically. The key difference is what the debt funds. Unproductive debt finances consumption, cars, gadgets, and lifestyles that depreciate and produce no income. Productive debt, on the other hand, acquires assets that generate cash flow or long-term appreciation. Behavioral studies show that people who fear all debt miss opportunities to leverage time, capital, and inflation in their favor. Debt itself isn't the problem. Misused debt is. Understanding this distinction is a turning point in financial literacy. Mistake 6. Not understanding compound growth. Compound growth is one of the most powerful forces in finance and one of the most misunderstood. The human brain struggles to intuitively understand exponential growth, a cognitive limitation known as exponential bias. Because the early stages of compounding feel slow and insignificant, people delay investing. Small contributions seem pointless. Progress feels invisible. But over time, compounding accelerates dramatically. Time, not intelligence or effort, is the biggest wealth multiplier. Starting 10 years late can cost hundreds of thousands over a lifetime, even if you invest more aggressively later. The cost of waiting is invisible at first, until it becomes irreversible. Mistake 7. Outsourcing financial thinking. Many people blindly follow advice without understanding it. They copy strategies from friends, social media influencers, or headlines, assuming someone else has already done the thinking. This creates dependency and leads to poor decisions when circumstances change. What worked for someone else in a different situation or economic environment may not work for you. Research shows that financial confidence and outcomes improve dramatically when people understand why they're doing something, not just what they're doing. Wealth requires judgment, adaptability, and context, not blind imitation. Mistake 8. Status spending. Status spending is buying to signal success rather than build it. Luxury items, brand names, and visible upgrades provide social validation, but quietly erode financial stability. Humans are social creatures, and behavioral economists have shown that people often spend more to keep up with peers than to meet personal goals. Social comparison distorts priorities and pushes spending beyond rational limits. Unfortunately, status fades quickly, but the financial cost remains. Wealth is usually invisible. Debt is often loud. Those who chase appearances often sacrifice long-term security for short-term recognition. Mistake 9. Ignoring opportunity cost. Every pound spent has an opportunity cost. What that pound could have become if invested instead. Most people don't feel opportunity cost because it's abstract, delayed, and invisible. But over decades, small decisions compound into massive differences. Daily habits matter more than dramatic gestures. Choosing convenience over intention, again and again, slowly redirects future outcomes. Wealth isn't lost in one big mistake. It's quietly leaked through thousands of small ones that feel harmless in isolation. Mistake 10. Believing it's too late. This is the most damaging mistake of all. The belief that it's too late creates paralysis. It convinces people that effort is pointless, so they never start. Psychologists call this learned helplessness, when repeated setbacks create the belief that outcomes are fixed. In reality, financial trajectories can change dramatically with small, consistent improvements, but belief controls behavior, and behavior controls results. People who believe it's too late don't fail because of numbers. They fail because they stop trying. Money success isn't about hustle. It isn't about grinding harder or working longer hours. It's about rewiring behavior. Fix the psychology and the numbers follow. When decisions change, outcomes change, quietly, gradually, and permanently. If you understand these mistakes and avoid them, wealth stops being a mystery and starts becoming a system.